this is my tea time chat for June. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we are going to be talking about some de-influencing. And I found this post on Instagram that really intrigued me. It's by Han Beauty 101, and at least that's how I hope you pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure. And the question they're asking is, has de-influencing overtaken beauty reviewing? And this post had a couple of interesting points in it. It was like, right, that's perfect for a tea time chat. I'm pretty sure that when I planned out what I wanted to talk about in June, I wanted to originally talk about something else, but this is now top of mind, so let's unpack. So when it comes to beauty reviewing and de-influencing, like I've done videos about this and I've told you a little bit about why I do things the way I do them. I only talk about new makeup releases once a month, and I very carefully edit that video. I never try to talk about everything that's there because I find it too overwhelming, and most of the things that are being launched aren't things I'm even naturally interested in. So if it's not something I'm naturally interested in, then I'm also not going to like really talk about it all that much, right? So when it comes to de-influencing you, I really feel that you're your own person. I'm not here to tell you what to do. And when it comes to like makeup influencing, I always feel like I'm a really bad makeup influencer because I'm never trying to show you everything, and I'm never trying to do everything. And I feel like, especially at a certain point in time, and I'm especially talking here about like the day and age when creators would get like a full collection of foundations when they could only use like one shade, right? So I think that at that time it was very much about influencing you, seeing all the PR packages. It was all really beautiful and I definitely feel that within the beauty community we had a moment in time where that aspect of like just showing all the things was the way to go as a creator, but it seems to have shifted a little bit more towards like de-influencing people. And of course there's like different causes to this. I think the way the world goes has a huge impact on it. Of course, people have less money to spend, prices are going up, so there are so many different reasons why I feel that nowadays having content where you try to not only talk about what's new and what's hip and happening and like look at these 20 like lipstick shades, why that kind of content is doing a little bit better than that kind of content. I really feel that that's like something that we're seeing. It's also something I'm seeing within like what my viewers like to watch, and I've actually been asked to do more like talky videos like this because people like them so much. And I definitely think there is a shift there, and I definitely think that it also depends on like what you want from a creator when it comes to what content you like by them. I get quite a few comments from people who only like dip in and out of the channel that I talk too much, but then from like regular viewers who enjoy my content and who watch almost everything, that's the thing they actually like about my content, that I explain things and I like bring a bit of nuance to things. That's the thing that they appreciate, so that's why I keep doing it. But I also know that that isn't for everyone. If you just want to see a quick makeup swatch, tell me, this isn't your channel. But what can be your channel is something, you know, someone who just does like shorts, swatching everything, and we're done, right? So I feel like, oh, there's a hair stuck to my lid. I feel like with the way things go, like the beauty sphere is so massive. Oh, that's why. It's not stuck to my lashes. It was stuck to my brows. It's like, what's in my like peripheral vision? But I think we're good. But what I was saying is that this online beauty creation sphere has grown so big in the past couple of years that when you find your niche, you can very easily stick to it. So if that's very chatty videos, you can do that. If you just want to do swatches, you can do that. So I think that as a creator, you need to find a form and a style that works for you and that works for the majority of your audience. And then you just need to choose your battles, really, because you can't do it perfectly for everyone and you can't win. But the question that this creator was asking is, has de-influencing overtaking beauty reviewing? And I definitely think that like how you answer that question depends on how you answer what is de-influencing. and what is reviewing. So I'm first going to go over the 5 points that they make in this post, and then I'll talk about how I see de-influencing and reviewing, and then we'll sort of wrap up our thoughts. But this person is saying negativity gets more attention, and that's a trend that's happening. This has been a trend for decades. For as long as media has been around, negativity sells. Always. It's how the human brain works. It's because if things are going well, we don't tend to pay attention to things. It's when things are negative or over the top or a bit wacky when we pay attention. And this entire influencing game is a game of attention. The more you can grab people's attention, the more views you get, the longer your watch time is, and that's why it sells. It's not like I don't think people are trying to be mean or negative for the sake of being negative, but I do think that because of how algorithms work and just how human brains work, we are just hardwired to be drawn into drama. It's just the way it is. So yeah, negativity, negative reviews, saying like, oh, this is bad, or like focusing on like all the negative aspects is something that just sells. It just is. You can't change that really, but when it comes to like de-influencing, I don't think that de-influencing necessarily means that you are negative about things. I feel that those are two different things. You can be negative and still influence people, right? So your negative review also has merit, and having a balance between, wow, this is an amazing new product, and it actually didn't work quite that well for me, is, I think, a really happy medium to be at. So for me, negativity doesn't necessarily mean de-influencing, but yeah, it is true. Negativity gets attention. It just does. Overwhelm and overconsumption are real, so this goes into what I was saying before as well. Overwhelming, I think a lot of people are just done with how many makeup releases there are, how much everything costs, just the sheer volume of things that are there, and I've tried to make my way into that, and I've made some choices in how I want to portray that on my channel. I also feel like that's a sentiment I see a lot with you guys, like, ooh, I don't want all the new stuff, and I don't want to see all these new things. And what I find very interesting is that some people find that I already do it too much. You have too much makeup. You have too much new makeup. But for instance, I did a haul the other day, and most of the products I showed in that haul, I didn't pay for with my own money. Those were PR gifts. So that is one of the perks of being an influencer, is that you do get freebies that you can then showcase on your channel. But that's sort of like a never-ending cycle. It's not that you are over-consuming per se. Yes, it's overconsumption because you cannot use everything as a single consumer. But at the same time, because you are a content creator whose job it is to talk about certain things, you need to have a certain number of new things come in from time to time to keep people coming to your channel, because new stuff simply gets more views still till this day. And at the same time, you want to also be helpful for your viewers. So hey, if this is something you were interested in, this is what I was interested in, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. So I definitely think that you cannot compare as a single consumer what your makeup collection is like to someone like me who has been doing YouTube for more than a decade. And especially in the past couple of years, like I've come to a point where I barely have to buy any of my own makeup just to keep the channel running. You know, I still buy things because it's fun and because I like it so much, but I could keep this channel afloat just with what's sent to me from time to time. So yes, overwhelming. I totally get it. Things are expensive. We're living in a world in crisis. And overconsumption is something that a lot of people are very mindful of, but don't compare yourself. Just don't do what I do, is sort of the way I live my life. But I've stopped doing a lot of the things that I used to do, thinking I had to get releases first, or being the first person to have that video out there. I've also stopped trying to review all of the Essence and Catrice lipsticks because I just chuck most of them anyways. So those are all things I'm trying to be more mindful of, because I just feel there's no place for that in my life anymore. And I'm actually trying to really, not necessarily downsize my makeup collection, but I'm just trying to focus on using the things I love. And I'm loving that for me. Another point that this person shares here is, I still love beauty. I get excited about beautiful formulas, colors, textures, packaging, artistry. There's room online for joy and critique. So I think that if you're indeed thinking that so many people are just being negative about things, that can overshadow the joy. And I definitely fell into that trap myself for a little bit, where when I was critiquing the new makeup releases, for instance, that I was only talking about why I wasn't going to buy stuff. But then I changed it a little bit to like saying also like why I think it could be right for other people, or why it isn't for me, or like I just try to not be too negative, because I felt that that was something like, it's very tricky to find that balance, because sometimes I have a new makeup releases that I'm filming and I'm like, ooh, I want to get everything, and sometimes I'm like, there's nothing here that interests me, right? So yes, I still love beauty as well. I still love testing out different formulas, different colors. I like being experimental with my makeup. I like to play. I just got some colorful highlighters. Who'd have thought in 2026 that I would want to buy a green highlighter, but it's now there and I'm going to play with it at some point. Last month, I did a video with some unusual lipstick colors, which is also something I like to test out. I don't feel like makeup always has to be wearable, and I like having fun with things. And with my eye look, like I can go around my day living like this and be really happy. This is a very natural, easygoing makeup look for me, right? But we all know, I like to go a little crazy. I like to pack on the shimmer. I like to go bright, bold blue. Whatever the day brings, you could say, is how I rock my makeup. So I think that when it comes to beauty, that just because you love it, it has nothing to do with not always liking everything. You can still love beauty and love makeup and still not love everything about it, you could say. And then this poster said, my goal hasn't changed. Test products properly, compare them thoroughly, point out what's special or not, and help you to make informed choices with your own money. That's definitely something I can fully subscribe to. That's my philosophy about my channel as well. I want to make sure that I still have enough time to test every single pen and an eyeshadow palette, spend more than a day with a foundation or a primer or a concealer. It's why I do my Shop My Stashes, so we have a little bit of playtime there. I don't do too many comparisons because I find it really difficult actually to compare makeup products if it's not a straight up dupe. Like if I'm thinking like, ooh, this is a dupe, then I'm like, okay. But some people are just swatching for the sake of swatching sometimes. And that is something that as a content creator, I have never really understood. Like I have seen content creators pretty much hit pan on products or use them up, not because they use them so many times, but because they go in there all the time with their fingers and swatching everything, which is not a great way to maintain the longevity of your products. That's how you get bacteria in there. That's when things expire. So I've always made the choice of like taking pictures of swatches and then using those swatches to either like make blog posts with, which is what I used to do, but this time I've shifted to using those pictures to use as overlays for my videos, and I think that happens really like naturally. But comparisons, I just don't find that valuable all the time. It's like one of those things where, you know, if I swatch two lipsticks side by side on my skin tone, you're never gonna know what it looks like on your skin tone. So I don't mind doing swatches of things, but comparisons and this need of like, is this better than the other? You can't tell from a swatch. Like, unless you wear it side by side, you can't really do those kind of things. And I don't have the time to live my life with makeup done one way on one side of my face and then the other. It's not going to happen. So yeah, would love to do more comparisons, but this is one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you know, those are goals. If this were my full-time job, I would probably do that kind of content a little bit more. But since it's not, no time for it as well. And then, of course, realism and enthusiasm can coexist. And that's the fifth point that this person is making. And I fully agree with this. You need to be excited about products, but not in the like, oh, look at this, and they haven't even tried it and it's already like the best thing ever. That's sort of like, I think that's something that a lot of people are tired of as well. But at the same time, you know, you still need to be critical and you need to be like using your brain. You need to ask yourself, okay, if this was an 85 euro eyeshadow palette and I start to rave about it, I am very conscious of the fact that as a content creator, I do want to do my due diligence and just not like influence you too much to begin with. You know, I can be very happy and excited for something, but it doesn't mean that that also translates to your happiness and excitement for the same product. So I'm always very aware of that. And that's why I always try to be very realistic. Like if I'm using a very shimmery, super sparkly indie formula that's really nice and creamy, and it doesn't crease on me, I do want to point out the very creamy, easy, glidey sort of formula because it could crease on other people, right? So that's why I'm like, I always try to bring this balance, and I know that a lot of people appreciated that as well. So that's what I was also saying before about the nuance. I always try to like have, like, in my brain, it works a bit like scales. I always try to talk about one thing and then about another thing. And sometimes I find myself like, okay, I need to backtrack because this is a really good palette and I'm just like bringing it down into the ground, and I need to like, and then I sort of edit the video that way. So I definitely am very conscious of that to make sure there is a balance of me being enthusiastic about products, but at the same time, also just being real and really being honest about when something doesn't work. And I think that that is one of the main selling points of my channel, you could say, to have this balance of these are things I really love and these are things I would like to love more. That's usually what it really boils down to. So yeah, when it comes to my take on like de-influencing, I don't really think that de-influencing is really a thing, because if you're online, there's like, I think that what people are looking for mainly is to not feel like you're being advertised to the entire time. So if all the videos you're watching from a certain creator, or if all you see by them is sponsorship after sponsorship of another PR package and another PR package, and those products are just being decluttered, and then like you never know where things end up. And I definitely think, you know, not everybody will watch all of my videos all the time. I'm fully aware, and there's no, like, I take no issue with that. You all have lives. I have a life. You do too. But I do try to have a little bit of like a little system behind it so that I work my way through my collection so you can see things from time to time, that it's not just about new things. Like if I do a video with like my 10 favorite bronzers, like at least 5 of those have been on that list for the past 3 years. You know, so it's not only the new stuff, and certainly sometimes things shift because I try more things and I'm like, oh, I want to add this to the list. So that definitely goes into it. But I definitely think when it comes to de-influencing, I can only talk about things from my experience, which is why I feel that this, do I want to call it reliance? This relationship, that it's not always healthy. Just because I like something is no guarantee that you will like it too. And I think that my subscribers are very well aware of that, and there's no issue there. But I do think there's a big chunk, especially in the younger audience, where it's like, oh, but they said it was good, so it should be, you know? But that doesn't, of course, always have to be. And I think there is a function of like pointing it out very clearly of why something may not work, yes or no. But like I said, it's not necessarily negative to talk about negative things about products. But what you see, especially with TikTok and how the algorithm works, is that people will open with something like, this is not working for me. But they do it deliberately because that's what captures people's attentions. And then de-influencing isn't really part of that. De-influencing for me is really about like actively advising you not to buy things, which as a content creator and the way this thing works, I've mentioned this before, is a really hard thing to do, because part of it is you trying new things and making sure that people know like, hey, this is a good product, yes or no. So it's really difficult from the role, at least in my opinion, from the perspective of a content creator, to be able to de-influence people. You can influence people to perhaps change their behavior, but I wouldn't necessarily call that de-influencing. Like what people want is to say like, don't get this. But then it's being too negative, you know, because you do need the nuance, you need the reasoning behind it. So that's why I'm like, I would like to reframe de-influencing and sort of call it more like using your brain. Being your own person and being able to take well-founded decisions. I think that goes into like any purchase in your life, whatever it is you're doing, especially if it's a bigger expense that for you is a bigger expense. You always want to think twice and you want to get different opinions. And that's why I think you shouldn't rely on the opinion of just me. If you see something on my channel that you like, maybe give it a bit of a Google search or type it into TikTok or Google or YouTube or whatever. See other creators perhaps that are closer to your skin tone that talk about the same thing, and then sort of build your opinion that way. I think that that is a much better way to go around it, but that's not something that I can do. You need to do that yourself because there's now 13,000 of you. And that's 13,000 different flavors and people and skin tones and undertones and skin types and whatever it is, different climates that you live in, because that's a factor too, of course. So I cannot cater to all of that, so that's why I try to stay small and just talk about what works for me. Try to make it balanced and nuanced, and then hopefully that will help you to make your own well-founded decisions. That's the way I go about it. And then de-influencing, is this the new beauty reviewing? I don't really think so. I think there have been plenty of people like myself who have always had this nuanced view, but it isn't like the norm. It isn't the thing that you find the most if you just spend 2 seconds in the online beauty sphere. You're going to find the very unnuanced, like, oh, look at this, it's going to like, we've all seen the videos, right? You need to look for that kind of content, and you need to look for it quite actively, and it may not always be like what you had expected, but I think there are plenty of people who are doing proper reviews, who are coming back to things, who showcase things in a very different way, and you just need to go search for them a little bit more. I'm a little stuck still on YouTube. I had some of your recommendations of like people to watch, and I've watched some of their videos, but nothing has been engaging me enough where I'm like, right, I'm going to now subscribe to their channel and I'm going to watch more of them. So if you still have like recommendations for like smaller like creators who do like talky videos and who do some product reviews, but it's not too product heavy, I would be interested to hear your thoughts. I already checked out quite a lot of them, but I would love to know, like, who are you watching? Because I'm always curious. Because especially on YouTube, I'm stuck. Like on TikTok, I have no problem finding really good content nowadays, but on YouTube, I'm like, it's just also like the algorithm. Like if I scroll my homepage, I never really find good beauty content anymore. It's almost like it either isn't here or I'm like just being pushed the most popular videos, and that's not what I want to watch. So it's almost like YouTube doesn't really know what I like, even though I have a separate account from this one to watch videos on YouTube. And I've been watching the same people over and over, so it should be able to give me those recommendations, but it doesn't really. So that's a bit of a shame. That's a bit of a shame. But yeah, I definitely think that when it comes to reviewing, there's still a place for this. I think that doing good, proper reviews is equally as valuable as just like showcasing products. And that's actually also what I'm looking for. I don't just want something who just shows products. I want their opinions. I want to know how they talk about it. If you are on TikTok and you want some TikTokers, Honest Phoebe, I've mentioned before, that's someone who comes to mind. I found Elizabeth really helpful. She's Australian and she keeps using all the same MAC products and therefore influencing everybody to buy the same MAC eyeshadows. It's really funny how she does that, but she's really good at what she does. There's a couple of people who I watched when I first got to TikTok who I no longer watch. But those are the two things that really come to mind, is like people who are very honest, try things, come back to things, do things again. And it's this whole thing like over and over and over. So I really enjoy their content and I watch them quite a bit. So those are two creators that I would like to recommend for you guys. So thanks so much for watching me here today. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know your 2 cents in the comments down below. Do you think that defluencing is overtaking beauty reviewing? Yes or no? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Check back for more, and then I hope to see you again in a new video really, really soon. Bye-bye.